So I'm curious, how do you find your farms? Do you actually, you have some of your
So we have a
employees
wine
go?
team that travels, not traveling right now during COVID. Um, but normally we would be in Europe most of the year. We have a team of people, team of young people who get to fly around the world going to wine farms. It's a pretty cool experience.
Right.
And because they're all small family farms, small production.
That's great.
And so they go and stay with the family and usually sleep there or sometimes in a nearby hotel and spend the days and nights. And it's amazing because these families, they're all cook and they'll cook for us and we drink wine with them at night. And then we tour farms and vet farming practices and things during the daytime. But how we find these people now, since we're the largest buyer of natural wines in the world, they oftentimes find us, or at least the new ones who have converted over to natural winemaking. Everybody in the natural wine world, of course, knows who we are. And so, but because we have this very strict criteria about alcohol and sugar, not all wines qualify and not all winemakers want to make wines that appeal to us, right? And so increasingly more and more do because of the volume of buying that we do. But historically, before we became, the largest wine buyer in natural wines, before that happened in the very beginning, we would find them through natural wine fairs. So there are about 50 natural wine fairs across the world. There are 4 in the United States, 4, 5, 6 in the United States, and the rest of them are primarily spread across Europe. And these fairs vet, you have to be a natural wine grower in order to get in the fair. You have to submit lab tests. You have to, even though there's no real fraud in the natural wine world, just because it's mainly occupied by a bunch of sort of fanatical hippies who really care about living soils and the earth and regenerative farming and biodiversity and polyagriculture. And so there's not really any sense of anybody really cheating there, but everybody also knows each other because only about 1,000 of these farms in the world. So in each country, everyone basically knows who the other people are.
So
right.
is the natural wine equivalent to organic or no?
It is not. So that's a great question. Thank you for asking. So all natural wines are organic. Not all organic wines are natural.
Oh.
So the problem with, it's better to drink an organic wine, surely for the planet and also for you. But it's better to drink a natural organic wine. Not all organic wines are natural because they may contain additives or they may contain manipulations. In our case, they may contain irrigation or they may contain sugar or they'll be higher in alcohol, right? So they don't meet our criteria. But most organic wines are not natural, right? So if you go into a store and you see a big SKU, a big thing of, like if you're at Whole Foods and you see organic wine, it's probably not natural. And the reason I say that is because if you make enough wine to supply someone like Whole Foods, right, then you're probably not natural, just because in order to supply their mammoth supply chain, you got to make a lot of wine. Can't make natural wine in very high volumes. So, and here's how I would think about the difference between organic and here's how I would think about the difference between organic and what I would call farming with love. Right? And this is a great example. When you're eating from a small family farm, you're eating from the love and spirit of that family and that farm. And here's how you could best understand that, I think, if in the way I would think about it in the natural wine world versus organic versus natural wine. So when you go into Whole Foods and you see everything in there is organic, right? Or virtually everything is organic. But when you go to the farmer's market and you see the same vegetables and they're just so vibrant, you want to photograph them, right? They're so beautiful, and the colors and the richness and the vibrancy. See, those are organic, but they were also grown with love and with the spirit of the family and the farm. Same thing in wine growing. So when you go into Whole Foods and you look at that same cabbage, it doesn't look like what you saw at the farmer's market. It is organic, but it's what I call industrial organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just because a wine is organic, it very likely may be industrial organic, right? Which means it's not natural. And it didn't come with that same production, that same super small production, and that same farming with love, as we would call it.